Along with Europe and America, colonial India also showed significant changes in men's and women's clothing. When Western-style clothing was introduced in the 19th century, it brought out different reactions in people. While some Indians, influenced by the West and missionary activities, adopted Western clothing, others ridiculed this new change as a loss of traditional and cultural identity. Still others combined the Western and Indian forms of dressing to avoid dilemmas. Men, particularly, incorporated some elements of Western-style clothing in their dress. The rich Indian Parsis were the first to adopt Western-style clothing. They wore baggy trousers, long collarless coats, fentas or hats, and boots. Evidently, some people believed that Western clothes were a sign of modernity and progress. Western clothing also appealed to many Dalit groups who converted to Christianity. Interestingly, some men wore Western-style clothes to work and traditional clothes at home. This difference in clothing at work and home is observed till today. However, the changes in clothing have a turbulent history. Though sumptuary laws did not exist in India, the caste system defined what the lower and the higher castes could wear or eat. People had to abide by these laws, and any attempt to change their clothing style led to violent social reactions. In the year 1822, in Travancore, the lower caste Shanars, also known as Nadars, worked under the Nair landlords. Shanar men and women did not cover the upper half of their bodies. However, some Shanar women who converted to Christianity began wearing blouses. This annoyed the Nairs and led to major riots in the state. Finally, the government declared that Shanar women, whether Christian or Hindu, could wear blouses as long as these did not resemble the blouses worn by the women of the higher castes. The British rule also had its impact on clothing in India. Some clothing had specific significance. Because the cultures of the Indians and the British were different, this often created misunderstanding and conflict. Consider the case of a turban and a hat. For Indians, the turban signified respect and could not be removed at will. Whereas in Western tradition, the hat had to be removed before social superiors as a sign of respect. The British were offended if Indians did not take off their turbans when they met colonial officials. Shoes also caused conflicts. Removing one's shoe before entering a home or a sacred place was considered a sign of respect in India. Initially, British officials followed Indian etiquette and removed their shoes in the courts of ruling kings or chiefs. Later, Governor-General Lord Dalhousie demanded the same shoe respect, which the Indians had to strictly follow when entering a government institution or courtroom. Only those who wore Western dresses were exempted. Indians were against removing their shoes outside the courtroom since it was a public building and not a sacred place. Several arguments took place between the British and the Indians on shoe respect. However, it took several years before shoes were permitted into courtrooms. With the passage of time, many transformations took place in colonial India.